What's up, friends? Welcome to SPDM TV. My name is Mike, part of the SPDM crew, and I watch a lot of TV. We talk about various TV topics, reviews, and general appreciation of TV past and new. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Serialized at MLHilty2452 to see what all I'm watching. This week, we are talking about the final part of the final season of Cobra Kai, and it's been quite the journey to go through this to finally get us to the end game for this particular show. And joining me, I'd have no other person to have on this episode. He is the Johnny to my Daniel. I've got John Tillyard here, wrapping up Cobra Kai. John, welcome back. How's it going?
It's going good. Yeah, definitely excited to talk about the very last part of this series.
Boy, it has been quite a journey for this one, right? So let's just kind of dive into it. So before we get into specifics, and because we're going to be spoiling this, general thoughts. How do you think this final part was, and how do you think it wrapped everything up?
In terms of how it wrapped things up, I was pretty happy for the most part. There's a few little bits and pieces of things that I wasn't completely happy with, but it's more to do with what wasn't they didn't do or what wasn't in it. I thought in terms of what they actually did do, I was really happy with how they wrapped things up, and it was a decent like 5 episodes. Probably not like a personal favorite set of episodes that I've seen over the series, but yeah, definitely really solid. Definitely liked it.
I'm right there with you. I liked it, maybe just a little bit lower than you, and there's one very specific reason why. I think it did. I think what this final part did for me that I appreciated the most, the focus shifts back a lot more to Johnny as a character.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I appreciated about that a lot. In addition to that, I think it sent off most of the kids in a good place. So I really appreciated that as well. So yeah, I overall I'm good with how it ended, and I'm not gonna lie, I would never go so far as to say I got teary-eyed at the end because
It's not that kind of show, really.
it's Cobra Kai. But
Yeah.
when the final credits rolled, particularly after that like final scene with Daniel and Johnny getting food, I was like, man, the movie that's coming out better be good. Which I
I'm
don't
not very hopeful, to be
I'm
honest.
I'm I'm not very hopeful about that as well, but we'll see. So, but yeah, so overall, we both liked it, so that's good. Relatively satisfying conclusion. So, why don't this will be our spoiler talk from this point forward. If you have not seen Cobra Kai season 6, part 3, then this is your official warning to, turn away or to pause it and then watch it and then come back because there were some things that were expected, some things that were not expected, and kind of go from there. So, all right, we're in spoiler talk. So, John, I'm going to kick it to you. What is the first thing that you want to talk about for Cobra Kai season 6, part 3?
I just want to talk about those final 2 episodes and how they kind of sort of finally remembered what the name of the show was, I think, and decided, okay, you know what, screw Miyagi, we're going to go back and make Cobra Kai the good guys, and we're gonna have them win everything, which was quite nice. Although I thought it was a bit sort of weird the way they just sort of shoehorned that in at the very end after at least like a full season or so of like subtly rooting for Miyagi though. But I'm glad they brought everybody back in, and we actually got to see a few characters in Cobra Kai Geese that we've not seen in Cobra Kai Geese before. Daniel, for one.
Daniel, yeah, that was
Daniel and Cobra Kai. That was cool. I really felt bad for Robbie, what they did with him. That really kind of disappointed me. He's lost 2 All Valley finals, and then he doesn't even get a chance to fight. But otherwise, I thought it was really nice the way they have Tori get a legitimate win this time. They have Miguel. They sort of bookend it with Miguel winning at the end, like he won in the first season, and they get Cobra Kai to win overall, and they get Johnny to finally get his win like on screen. He's never had like an on screen win in the Karate Kid franchise, so that was great to see as well. I was sort of disappointed what they did with the character of Axel. I thought maybe they had like some redemption arc planned for him, but I guess in this last pick was going to be on Kreese and his redemption, which was certainly not what I expected. Explosive ending for Kreese.
No, literally explosive.
Literally, it did not expect him to die.
No,
there's actually a few theories that he might have survived. He might have like jumped off the boat just before.
How, John? How?
I know.
How
I
do
know.
you?
I don't get it either. it's like if you don't see a body, they're not dead. Is basically the theory I think there. But yeah, really good to see like Cobra Kai win at the end, and Johnny's back doing what he wants to do at the very end in that final scene. It was really nice to see. I just sort of felt the first 3 episodes of this part dragged a little bit before we got to the tournament. It was a lot of like just sort of wrapping things up, and I actually felt the whole of this last season was a lot of like wrapping up, because a lot of like the meaty storylines were done with before this season even started. I thought there was a little bit of dragging, specifically in this third part, I think, in getting them to like Los Angeles and the restarted like Sakai Takai.
So my biggest thing that I was upset about is what happened to Robbie, and not because he lost. You broke his leg. It was due to a dirty play, and no consequences, no repercussions, nothing. And that to me was the most frustrating part about this, because I feel like it would have been a nice way to send Robbie off, because it felt like a relative conclusion at some point that Miguel was going to get into Stanford, right? Because you don't
he didn't even need that in the end. They make that quite clear. He didn't need that to get into Stanford.
Exactly. So Robbie, they've also telegraphed numerous times that Robbie's got nothing after this, which, granted, I don't think not going to college after high school is the death sentence that everyone makes it out to be now, but for him to lose, and then also for him to get like this sponsorship deal with Tori. They're going to travel the world, they're going to fight in tournaments, and they're pretty much going to be brand ambassadors for this agency. Sounds like it wraps up. It just, I wasn't expecting this to have like any like poignant moments at the end, but like everything just wrapped up like a little too nicely. And I'd expect nothing less from Cobra Kai, even though in a lot of these season finales, somebody gets really hurt or something happens in the Rumble that like, oh, Terry Silver gets arrested or what have you. But Robbie in particular, I think, was done dirty. And kind of like what you said with Axel. Nothing, no consequences, nothing, no big confrontation between him and Sam or anything like that. It just
went nowhere.
It just went nowhere, and it felt kind of a little bit like a waste. And we spent way too much time trying to figure out where, if we're going to go back to the Saikai Taikai, and also where it was going to be held. I think it's ridiculous that this tournament goes from Barcelona to let's just have it be like in a supercharged All Valley tournament.
Yeah.
I think that was a little bit silly, but I also get it. And also the nice thing about that is we get more characters that are able to actually go and watch the tournament now. So that was at least fun.
Amanda got a great moment, I thought.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That was fantastic.
What you said also specifically about Cobra Kai. Yes, I agree with you there. Because first of all, those black karate gis are awesome. I love them a lot. But more importantly as well, you're right. This show has been trying to shoehorn in the Miyagi-Do a little too hard. And for Johnny to get back Cobra Kai and kind of turn them into the champion that they become, I thought that was a smart move. It was also the only move to make. There's nothing else that they could have done.
The show is called Cobra Kai. You got to do that.
You got to do that. So my prediction, unfortunately, that Cobra Kai was going to close for good, the exact opposite happened, where now Cobra Kai is now more popular than ever. And we got a Stingray cameo as well. Stingray came back for that.
Was that his only appearance in the last season? Oh no, he was in part one.
He was in the first part.
We didn't see him for a while.
Yeah. Let's talk about this John Kreese storyline as well. So
really interesting.
Really interesting, because at first I wasn't on board with it, because we've had enough evidence over 6 seasons and the first Karate Kid movie to know that John Kreese is full of shit. He doesn't care about anything or anyone. The only thing he cares about is winning. And there are even some moments where I thought the scene with Johnny and Kreese, when Kreese is apologizing and Johnny is like yelling at him, I was a little worried that I thought I was going to find that part a little cheesy. And it kind of was. But also, I William Zabka just he sold it. He
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like he is just channeling all of the anger and frustration that he's had since because the Karate Kid was his big break, didn't amount to much of anything in Hollywood, at least what I think he thought it would become at some point. And this resurgence of him being involved with Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid, I think it's just really revitalized his career. So I think he's channeling a little bit of that in there. And I really felt that moment. And that's when I was like, okay, I think Chris Kreese really means this. And then going after Silver the way that he does, and pretty much if let's just put it this way, if Kreese shows up in the Karate Kid movie to be like a mentor or something like that, I'm not going to be very happy. But that would be
Well, I assume it takes place after Cobra Kai, so he couldn't, surely.
well, you're the one that said that there's conspiracy theories out
Yeah,
there.
I don't believe in these theories that he's
Yeah,
alive,
yeah.
but no.
Yes. So, yes,
Yeah,
let me preface that by saying these are not John's theories. These are
yeah.
John's theories that
I have heard these theories. I do not believe in them myself.
he is showing or he is letting us all know that they're out there in the ether, just letting us know that they exist, even though he does not agree with them. So,
No.
yes, I don't see any scenario where Terry or Kreese survives that, especially considering both of them are quote unquote sick. Or no, Kreese wasn't sick. Terry was sick.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah.
I think most people seem to agree that the Silver is dead. I think that they want to see Kreese come back. I think more than anything.
Yeah,
But yeah,
after a redemption arc like that, yeah.
it would be nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I sort of felt the same way about Kreese for a while. Like he's been like so full of shit for so long, and like suddenly he's going to change. But I think it was like Kwan's death sort of set him on that like redemption arc for a bit. But I think it was Johnny's speech to him, and I think just a lot of consoling himself after the tournament, just having a lot of time to sort of think about it. I think that's something that Cobra Kai's done really well. It's like just characters taking their time to think things through and understand where they are in the world, and like is what they're doing right, or should they be better? So I think Kreese maybe has just like finally after years had a moment to sort of think about what he's done and the effect it's had on a lot of people. And then Johnny, like you say, William Zabka just sells that scene so well. It's such an effective scene. Like before that scene, I was like, I don't know if I'm buying this, but after that scene, I was like, okay, fine, you got me.
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
You'd be pretty hard pressed not to buy that scene afterwards. So yeah. Plus also the actions that he takes that kind of lead up to that. He's trying to encourage Tori. He's trying to, he when you think the possibility that he's going to be killed, which boy, yeah, that first episode where they kind of focus on, maybe Kreese's time is up and how he's going to be somebody, he's the one. Let's set the stage a little bit. So everybody's gone home from the Saikai Taikai. This tournament is in ruins. Everybody's trying to forget about it. What's the time jump on that? It's not that long.
Yeah, true. I don't think it is very long. Maybe a month at most.
Yeah, so not that long. And Silver is trying to reorchestrate that this gets going, and he sets the parameters and says, "Look, I just want the tournament to go on because this is all I have," which is ridiculous, but hey, whatever, it is what it is. But he says that he'll let he'll let Miyagi-Do choose the venue, choose the refs, choose choose all of that. That seemed like a lot of concessions and a lot of things to give up. But we spend the whole like the first two episodes just will they, won't they for this tournament? Which
Yeah,
obviously
it went on far too long.
well, the answer is obviously going to be yes. They're going to continue this tournament
Yeah,
because they need to wrap it up. And then talk about the logistics, talk about the training, talk about all of that. And yeah, it did drag on for a long time. I one thing that I'll bring up is that the Miyagi centric story, it wraps up it wraps up very nicely, just like everything else does. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. What did you think of that Miyagi and Daniel fight scene and the subsequent conversation afterwards?
First time I watched it, I was kind of distracted by how bad the effects were. But then again, it is a dream sequence, but I don't
Sure,
know,
sure,
that's
yeah.
so like not good. But outside of that, like the second time I watched it, I was like, okay, they got quite a good actor in to play him, even though he doesn't really look like him. And it is sort of like quite a good like way of Daniel just opening up to him in a way and like understanding like why this is important to him. You know, why the fact that he wasn't who he said he was when he met him. And I think Daniel like doesn't like being kept in the dark about anything. I think there's a moment in like the first season when he first finds out that Robbie's father is Johnny, and he says to Robbie, "You lied to me." And I don't know if I'd say that he lied to him, but it is obviously important to Daniel that he knows everything about a person and he understands completely who they are. Right. So this is obviously something that's important to Daniel, and he wanted closure to the thing. And this was quite a good way of conveying it, I thought. And obviously, you only can have Miyagi talk to Daniel through a dream sequence. So I thought that was quite an effective use of the sort of dream format. I would have liked to have seen more of Mr. Miyagi, to be honest. I would have liked to have seen like either flashbacks or maybe like some kind of like fantasy sequence that Daniel could actually be involved in. I don't know about like long dream sequences. That might have been a bit weird, but like something where Daniel could sort of like envision Miyagi as someone for him to talk to and just like take things through, like maybe something similar to the psychiatrist sequence that Kreese had, where if he feels like he's talking to Miyagi, it's maybe a psychiatrist sitting there, but to us it's Mr. Miyagi. But I think overall, like, there was quite good closure to it with the bit with the necklace and just the explanation as to what was really going on. And I think we can obviously understand that when Mr. Miyagi killed that person in the Sakai Takai, he obviously from that point learned to be a better man and obviously learned that karate is for defense only. So it sort of clicks together quite well, I think, in the end.
Well, and not only that, I think it also clicks because Sam as a character goes through an interesting arc because I think she's the one that understands the purpose of Miyagi-Do better than anyone. You learn it so you don't have to use it. And if she doesn't want to fight anymore, then she shouldn't have to. So it's a choice. So she walks away from the tournament, which I think that was a smart way to end the whole thing with Miyagi-Do and a good opening to get Cobra Kai to get back into the tournament. I just think that there's a small part of me that is wondering, like, does she just not want to train for this, or is she just over this right now? Because also she just got engaged to the guy who plays Robbie, which I find adorable.
Buchanan.
Adorable.
Yeah.
So
that is interesting. Yeah.
That is very interesting. But she also is in line with a bunch of people who don't have a whole lot going on this season. Not a whole lot of Eli or Hawk and Dimitri this season. Not a whole lot of.
They got one moment to shine in part 3. I thought actually did quite enjoy with the virtual Axel thing that they did.
That was fun. No Kenny. No,
true.
No other kids. And you know what? I'm fine with that because if we get back to the core cast and Miguel winning the tournament, I'm not mad at that at all. Even though I do wish that Robbie would have had his chance to shine a little bit more, but Tori and Miguel both winning, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think maybe the writers felt like we'd seen enough of Sam and Tori fighting. We didn't need to see it again. And maybe also the fact that they were now friends, it like wouldn't make much sense. The only thing about that I do find kind of odd is that she's persuading Tori to come back into the tournament in like the first or the second episode of that season, which I think is a great bit of character progression for Sam. She's looking out for Tori. She's trying to do what she thinks is best for her, but then she just decides not to fight. So it's kind of a mixed message she's sending there.
A little inconsistent. I will agree with you that, but yeah, that's interesting. Not a whole lot going on with Chosen this season again.
I think the problem with his storyline is I think the actress who played Kumiko did not want to come back. I think she was busy off in Japan, so they had to wrap up his storyline, without Kumiko being in it.
Yep. And Chosen does get credit for giving me my favorite line in this is when he says something in Japanese and he says to Elizabeth Berkley, "This means Reiki is bullshit." And I was like, bravo, bravo. I will take that. Also, the whole bit of him watching Storage Wars, I thought that was funny as
I have
well.
never heard of that show. What the hell is that?
What?
Yeah.
So it's Storage Wars is a trashy reality show where people bid on abandoned storage units, and then the hope is that they find something in there that they can pawn in order to make their money back.
Oh, wow, nice.
It is the epitome of trash reality
Yeah,
television.
I got that much. Yeah, definitely
So,
not something that's worth watching.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's sometimes fun to watch. It's a good thing to have on in the
Yeah,
background.
reality TV is always a little bit fun to watch now and again.
Yeah, every now and again. I think that's the key thing there. So I guess something else to bring up. So a lot of these kids' futures have been determined already. So but Dimitri makes the choice not to go to MIT. It's interesting.
Yeah.
That's choice, I guess.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why they feel that such a necessity for him and Hawk to stay together. Why, you can hook up like in between, sessions at uni.
Yeah.
Or you can just do what we are doing right now and talk on Zoom.
I know it's so weird. It's not like they don't have phones. It's not. I don't know. That was a bit of a weird choice. As we mentioned before, Miguel gets into Stanford, and then Tori and Robbie get signed to their sponsorship deals, and then Sam. A bit of an interesting way to go with Sam because Sam's parents are telegraphing very much that they want her to go to a local school just so that she can be close and they can keep tabs on her. And she's got other plans. She wants to travel the world, and kind of going to Barcelona has given her a taste for travel and other cultures, and she gets into a program in Japan.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, weird how that full circle comes about. So I'm a little mixed on that storyline. It's like, okay, if you want to give Sam this big important choice and manufacture drama this way, that's fine.
Yeah, I got the impression they were trying to find something for Sam to do in those last few episodes. It was like forced drama over nothing, unless they have like a spin-off series planned where we're going to actually see her in Japan or something. I don't get the importance of that.
I don't get it either, but hey, it is what it is with that. Let's talk about Daniel really quick.
Yep.
Daniel admittedly has a hard time after the Saikai Taikai, in which he's struggling with the fact that he saw a child die, which, yeah, that makes total sense. I would have liked to have seen him stick to his guns a little bit more, but again, they drag out the story a little bit. Do you think the story would have just benefited a little bit more if Daniel would have been like, "I'm done," and then it would have just been Johnny's story? Or do you think Daniel brought a lot more to this than?
I think you need Daniel there. I think you need that important balance. I mean, you see that from Johnny's like speech at the very end of the series that Johnny's going to teach offense and Daniel's going to teach the students defense. It's still a sort of combined dojo. That sort of balance is important.
Mm-hmm.
So I think also like Johnny and Daniel becoming friends over the course of the series is also like an important theme or arc in this entire series. Because you see in the very first episode, Daniel is trying to befriend Johnny and sort of not going about it in a very good way. So I think that was like a good like sort of setup for like an ongoing idea of the series, that Johnny and Daniel were ultimately not only going to become friends, but they were going to learn something from one another and work together in the end.
I did love that final scene where they're getting food together, and the fly, Daniel's trying to catch the fly with the chopsticks, and then Johnny comes in and just kills it.
I mean, they kind of stole a joke from the Karate Kid remake, where Mr. Han just swaps it with a fly swatter. Did you know that's the creators that you see at the start of that scene talking about the Back to the Future spin-off?
No, I did not.
That was actually an actual idea that they had like in the works for a while before they came up with the idea for Cobra Kai, like a spin-off that takes place in alternate 1985.
Wow.
But I don't think anybody took it seriously. So
Well,
maybe their way of it becoming reality is just mentioned in
right,
Cobra Kai.
rightfully so, because like, no, we're good. We don't need just. I thought about this a
Back to the Future without Michael J. Fox, and Michael J. Fox is clearly in no condition to act anymore.
Yeah. So let's talk about this fight between Johnny and Wolf is his name, right?
Yeah.
Louis Tan, fake Johnny Cage from the Mortal Kombat reboot. But what did you think of this fight? Obviously, Johnny had to win this fight. There's no way that he could have. But do you believe it? Do you really think that Johnny could have beat Wolf?
I mean, if he trained Axel, and he trained Axel, in a very sort of serious kind of manner, pushing him to his absolute limit of his ability, probably not.
No, no.
Because I have to believe he's even better than Axel as a fighter. If he trained Axel by pushing him that hard.
Yeah. I did kind of like that Johnny's mentality was go on the offensive. And I did like that Wolf's strategy was to get in Johnny's head because I really like how everybody choreographs that Johnny's main strength is his irrational confidence. And
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. That is definitely a strength. But for Wolf to rattle Johnny like that at the beginning and Johnny finding his center, finding his calm. I thought that was a good move. And although I don't buy that Johnny realistically would have won the fight, that doesn't change the fact that I was still ecstatic for him that he actually
Very, very,
won the fight.
very satisfying scene to watch. I think that's one moment watching Cobra Kai I have come close to tearing up a little bit is when they left the trophy there.
Yeah. I would
Brilliant.
agree with that because this part of Cobra Kai, we're getting back to Johnny and Cobra Kai being a little bit more of the focus, which that's something that I very much appreciated from this, and kind of what you were talking about before. How much more Miyagi-Do can we get to before eventually it's like, hey, we got to shift our focus back to Cobra Kai somehow. And one thing that I really liked was that they focused on Johnny. Johnny's going to become, he's going to become a dad again. He's going, he's dealing with, I want to propose to Carmen, but I don't know how, even though he's kind of pressured into it. What's that?
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's in those first couple episodes that are like, I don't,
Yeah.
I don't care
I,
about
I was
some of this.
surprised. I thought they were going to get married in the final episode. I thought it was going to be like an epilogue or something.
That would make more sense, but that's not what happened. And you know, I'm kind of glad that they just kind of ripped the band-aid off and they just let them get married. I think the conversation that Johnny had with that priest, I thought that was a nice touch. So yeah, that was good stuff. Yeah, just the focus back on Johnny. I was all here for it. I
Very much
really
Johnny's
like that.
story these last few episodes.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a wedding like in TV or certainly not in reality of where the bride is in labor. I don't think I've ever
I
seen that before.
I don't think I have either. I'm sure if we look around and like Google like do like a deep Google search, you might find something. But yeah, I've never seen anything like that. Very much Johnny style, just to kind of
Yeah, kind of just out of nowhere.
yeah. And I'm all here for it. I'm glad that he got that house. I'm glad that him and Carmen are now officially together. I'm They wrap that up, and I'm all here for that. Yes.
Only one small thing that disappointed me about that is I wasn't sure if I assumed it would be a normal wedding before this final episode, and I wasn't sure who Johnny's best man was going to be. Was it going to be Robbie or was it going to be Daniel? And in the end, it was no one.
It was nobody. They didn't really talk about that. I think it would have made sense for Miguel and Robbie to be co-best men, but I'm glad that they just didn't telegraph that, and I'm just glad that everybody was there for that. I thought that was a nice touch. I guess let's talk about these final the final two fights of the tournament, like involving the kids. So Zara
Yeah.
versus Tori.
It was again kind of like what you said about the fight with Johnny. You kind of just knew Tori was going to win, and it was a good fight and everything. I kind of maybe bought Tori ability to beat Zara a little bit more because Zara's a bit more full of herself. like just a great fighter. She's kind of just thinks she's a great fighter. She's a little bit self-centered, a bit arrogant. But I was sort of like prepared for that comeuppance sort of moment, so where she gets her tooth knocked out, and obviously the callback to "Welcome to Barcelona, bitch," where she says "Welcome to the Valley, bitch."
Yeah, I did like that,
and obviously Robbie and Tori get their little "I love you" moment, which was nice because I actually didn't expect it at that particular moment. So I thought that was good as well. I just find it interesting actually that Tori does not say it back. I guess it's just implied in the kiss.
I did find that a little weird as well. Not even a I know or a, you know, anything like that. She's, yep, I guess we're supposed to
Kiss, I guess, is her way of saying it. That's all I can think.
listen, ladies. This is why sometimes men don't understand what you're talking about, because sometimes you don't say anything to us. So come on,
Yeah.
let's try to communicate both ways. So I I I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Tori this season, mainly because she she's taking care of her brother, and
Oh, that
she,
was something actually I forgot. One other thing that really bugged me after she won. I was like, where is her brother?
yeah,
Why is he not there?
he's just,
Yeah.
I guess he's just in front of a TV and
Yeah.
just
He should be
doing.
watching, surely.
I mean, I think if anything, I think that scene would have been very effective. So, look, I loved Robbie saying "I love you," but I think that scene would have been actually more effective if it would have been her brother saying "You can do this." And I think that that would have been a really sweet touch and showing
Yeah.
that, like, hey, she's got all this responsibility on her, but her brother is in her corner. And I think that scene
Yeah.
would have been fantastic. But they chose the more conventional route and had Robbie with the power of love bringing her to victory. So I just wish that we would have gotten a little bit more Tori this season. Yeah. So I guess there's that. Miguel versus Axel, though. That's another situation where it's like, I'm not sure Miguel could have won with that. And mainly because if if Axel had shown a pension that would have said he would have done anything to fight or to win a fight. I don't understand how this is Miguel's the one guy, because I guess just because he's dating Sam and he doesn't want to upset her or anything like that. I would have thought the opposite. I think that would have been the thing that would have set him off a little bit more. I think
Yeah.
that would have been real shitty of him to be like, "Hey, he's got a spinal injury." Be like, "Oh no, that's too far, man." I don't think that they ever would have killed Miguel or done anything like that serious to him, but I was like, boy, that's really crappy. I did like how they choreographed the fight where they're going back to all of these different things that he's learned over the years,
Yeah.
and he used that and all the flashbacks. I really like
Oh
that.
yeah, it's a lot of good like use of flashbacks of the things that he's learned. I thought it was a bit of an odd choice that they called back to go all in because I didn't think that was anything to do with karate in the end. I think he learned how to win Sam back with that lesson. It
Yep.
was not actually a karate lesson he learned there.
Nope, I don't understand that either, but they tried to jam a lot of different things into that moment. So, I guess hey, it is what it is with that. I can't I can't think of anything else that we missed. Do you have anything else that
Uh,
you
I just wanted to say I thought the digital axle thing that Dimitri and Hawk put together was quite interesting. It's like sort of quite obvious sci-fi, sort of fictional technology, which I mean, Cobra Kai seems fairly contemporary in terms of like its setting and everything. That's quite obviously sci-fi though. What they've done with
Oh
him there.
yeah, for
Made
sure.
for quite a fun sort of sequence. I'm not quite sure how you simulate Axel style by just telling Miguel what to do in his headphones, but it was a fun fight scene.
Yeah,
The same,
yeah.
and it gave Hawk and Dimitri something to actually do in this last season, which made a nice change from up until that point. They'd just been arguing with one another.
Yeah,
So
that's
it was refreshing to see that. It was also nice to see Sam and Tori just hang out as friends for like a little bit of time and just show that they are actually okay now. Tori gets the chance to like hug Sam properly after her win, which I don't know if it wasn't even like the focus of the shot, but I noticed it and I thought it was like a really nice moment because I think that's actually something that fans have been pushing for a while. Just a really like nice moment where you can just see that Sam and Tori are friends. That they're not like trying to make up; they're actually just existing as friends, which was really nice. Again, most of my negatives, I think, have to do with things that are not in this, like certain characters they don't bring back, like what I said about Tori's brother. Where is he? I was also a bit bothered by the fact that there's such a big deal about Tori's mum dying the day that it happens, and then there's like barely any mention of it after
nothing that's mentioned. It's insinuating. It is implied that it's affecting her because she's like, I'm done with karate. I don't want anything to do with this. I've got other responsibilities, but that's it. And I think it would have had a moment of catharsis of, I think maybe Amanda saying something as like a mom figure to her.
Yeah, Amanda would have been the perfect person to be in there and support her because she's, been doing that even before her mum died.
Yep. But nope, they don't. Nothing like that. And
there's no mention even of who it has custody of Tori and her brother now. I mean, I don't know if Tori's come of age yet. Not quite clear how old they're supposed to be now. But
I think you're supposed to infer that if she's the one that's buying groceries and has to drop out of school, even though they.
But her
don't
brother definitely does need someone looking after him, and it cannot be Tori because she is on parole.
She's on parole. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't. Yeah. Unfortunately, the state probably would have taken him away and been like, look, get your stuff together and you got to make a case. But that's got to mean that you got to. It doesn't seem like Tori's mom had a plan for what happens if she would have passed away.
Which is kind of silly because it seemed to be on the cards for a long time.
Yep. So other than that, I mean, was there anything else that you were hoping to get and didn't?
Julie Pierce was the main thing that we missed out on that really disappointed me. The rumor is that the woman that comes to Robbie and Tori about, their big budget contract thing, and this proposal of like touring the world and everything, that was supposed to be Julie Pierce. The woman's actually called Julia, which I think kind of like telegraphs it in a way. But Hilary Swank didn't want to come back and do it.
Well, that's fair because I'm sure that everyone was probably merciless to her when it came to the reviews of that. So,
true. Her contribution to the Karate Kid universe is not well remembered.
It is not, unfortunately.
And for good reason.
The only other thing that I had predicted that also did not happen is that there was no Jackie Chan cameo or anything. Nothing to choreograph how we're going to transition from Cobra Kai to this new Karate Kid movie. So we'll.
I think maybe they're going to try and keep it as just its own thing that doesn't tie into Cobra Kai. Maybe as far as I'm aware, Daniel's the only character from Cobra Kai that's going to be in it. So I don't know. Maybe they will just ignore Cobra Kai.
Have to wait and see from there. Yeah. All right, let's talk. I guess.
One other thing I wanted to quickly say: the opening scene of the final episode that was originally planned to be Dutch in prison that Johnny was visiting, but the actor that played Dutch was very ill at the time, and in fact, he was quite close to death, as we now know. So they had to change that to him visiting his mum's grave, and I think they kept most of the dialogue the same.
And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with what they did with that. Yeah, I'm good with what happened there.
It's actually a much nicer scene. I think visiting someone in prison might have been a bit of a depressing kind of thing, but seeing him visit his mum and show that he was still thinking about her even when he was on his like rock bottom, that was quite nice, I thought.
Yeah. All right. Let's put a bow on Cobra Kai then. And any final thoughts that you have on, legacy of the show, of what you're going to miss the most about it, and just anything that you want to wrap up to put this to bed, because this is our fourth episode where we've talked about Cobra Kai, because we talked about it beforehand, and then we've done parts 1, 2, and 3. So 4 episodes where we've talked about Cobra Kai. What's going to be the lasting impression that this has on you?
It's going to be that I just love teen drama, I think, even though I'm way older now. I just love that kind of dynamic. It's just so much like potential for just like the kind of like where your mind is when you're that kind of age. It's just sort of all over the place. It just makes for such interesting drama, I think. And it was just like a good demonstration, I think, of the fact that fan service is not a bad thing if you do it right. And they definitely did it right with this series. they didn't want to be subtle with it a lot of the time, that they were quite in your face about it, but they did it in the right kind of way and in a way that respected the fans. And I think it sort of shows that if you're going to do something like this, you need writers on board that obviously know what they're doing as writers, know how to write an original kind of story, because it can't just be like a rehash of Karate Kid. That would not have worked. But they also have to be fans of the original material in order to show it like the proper kind of respect. So yeah, normally I'm not a fan of like just keeping these old franchises going, but if you can do it this well and with this kind of respect and with this kind of clever level of fan service, I think this is definitely opens the door for like future series or ideas like this.
Yeah, I agree with that. This for legacy sequel movie turned TV show, you can't do much better than this. You incorporate a lot of the older characters, and you introduce a lot of great, amazing new characters as well. This is a great way to mesh this. Do I buy karate being this giant catalyst for all these kids to get to know each other? No, absolutely, I do not. But I did appreciate the fact that they they made karate so accessible to all these kids, and they did it in a way where it's like, hey, you've got two different styles of karate. You've got this offensive style, which is more aggressive, and then you've got this defensive style, which is about finding your calm and only using it when you need to. Good contrast with that. I think I think having Johnny be the center of the show, I think that was just an amazing idea, and I really, really like that. I'm very curious to see what William Zabka is going to do from here because it seems
Yeah,
like
he's definitely shown that he still has the acting chops with this
Mhm.
series.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
well, and he's done a lot of stuff behind the camera as well. So if he continues, if he continues to go this route, I'm just curious to see what he and quite frankly Ralph Macchio is going to do as well because it seems like Ralph Macchio has got one. He's still going to do this karate. He's in this Karate Kid movie,
Yes.
so I don't know. Are they going to want to continue to do more like karate centric stuff, or is this like a one and done? It's like, hey, this is going to cap everything off of my career, and I think I'm done. So I'm curious to see where that goes from there, because the kids, a lot of the kids, they've already moved on to a lot of them have moved on to other roles. So for example, Tori, she was in that School Spirit show, which is fine, I guess.
I have
Um,
not seen it. I kind of want to check it out just because she's in it.
she's great in it. I enjoyed it.
Oh,
I haven't caught any of season 2 yet, but I did appreciate that. The guy who plays Miguel is Blue Beetle. Who knows if he's going to
not a good
continue?
film, but he was good in it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's in the cards for James Gunn's DCU, but we'll see about that. I'm curious to see where these kids are going to go moving forward, and I'm looking forward to that. It's funny that this show originated on YouTube Red or the YouTube.
Yes.
It was a YouTube original at first. And I'm not going to lie, when I heard that this was going to be a show, I was like, that's stupid. What are we doing? Have we run out of ideas? And you know what? I was wrong. I will admit it. I was wrong. I think what they did with the show was really good. I enjoyed all the characters, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm sad that it's over. I think this is the only way that it
Yeah.
could have ended, but I'm still sad that it's over. I'm still not happy that Netflix made us wait like what a total of because like what part two was in November and part
Yeah.
one was in September. So
July last year, part one.
so they spread it out way too long. I don't like that. Netflix, get your shit together for that. But
I don't think that needed to be 15 episodes either.
no, it you could have trimmed. So I think you and I both agree that the first three episodes of this part could have been trimmed down probably to
Yeah.
one. You could have trimmed down a little bit of part one as well. Yeah, they're just doing that just to obviously just to you know, continue to be in the pop culture zeitgeist. It's so interesting because I think I had this conversation with Shane and with Alice about this when we did our TV show review or TV shows and kind of just talked about things for this year. Netflix is going to have a fantastic year. They have Cobra Kai wrapping up. They've got Stranger Things wrapping up. They've got Squid Games wrapping up, and they got
Oh,
another
that's
season
true.
of
Yeah.
Wednesday. So
Wow. Yeah. They they have a big year coming up.
they do have a big year, but
But then, like you say, a lot of those shows are ending. So what are they going to do
exactly,
next?
exactly. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to have coming out that's going to fill the void for Cobra Kai, because Wednesday does some of this stuff in a way, but not in the same way. But yeah, I do. I am gonna miss this show. I'm gonna miss these characters, and I think I'm just gonna miss Johnny as a character, because I think Johnny's an amazing main character. He's a great balance between he's really funny, he's really engaging, he's an asshole. I really like that. But I also like the serious moments that he has as well, where yeah, he really nailed a lot of them. I found Daniel to be insufferable at times during Cobra Kai, but
Yeah.
I really like Johnny as a character, and I'm gonna miss it a lot.
Yeah, I am definitely going to miss a lot of those characters. I think I actually prefer the teen characters, the kids, a bit
Mhm.
more. So I wonder if there is the potential maybe for a spin-off series about some of them.
Spin-off of the spin-off,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Miguel and Sam in Okinawa seems to be the big rumor if they are going to do something about the kids. I don't think you could really do anything with Tori and Robbie. I'm not sure what you could do with them to where they are at the end of that series. So I think that was trying to wrap them up, to be honest. And also, you say Peyton List has another series now that she's a big star in. So yeah, she's probably going to go off and do her own thing.
Yeah, all right. Well, we have one final segment that we're going to talk about. Let's talk about Cobra Kai did this really well. And let's talk about our top five shows that or movies that we think could get a similar treatment and that could be really, really compelling. So, John, you're the one that had this idea. So, kind of talk to me a little bit about what inspired you to pitch this as something that you wanted to talk about.
So the thing that really I found fascinating about Cobra Kai when I first started watching it was like it was the same actors that had all played these roles in the original films. Like when Johnny first shows up in that first episode, I was like, oh, that's interesting. They've got a guy that kind of looks like how Johnny would look when he was older. And then I did a bit of research on IMDb. Oh, it's the same actor.
It's
I
the
see what they're
same
doing.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just sort of kept looking into it and thinking, is that the same actor? Is that the same actress? It's like every single character they brought back was the same actor. They obviously had a rule. If they can't get the original actor back, then you're not going to see that character. Julie Pierce being the obvious example, couldn't get her to come back, so she's not in it. So yeah, I think that's where you've got to start with this kind of like legacy sequel. You've got to make sure that you're bringing back the original cast. Nobody is being recast in any kind of role. And obviously, in order for the actor being older to make sense, it has to take place that amount of time later. So if it took place in present day, like the Karate Kid did, it just continues to take place in the present day.
Okay. How difficult of a task was this for you to find something that you'd be willing to watch?
Well, my number one is one I've been thinking about for a while. I think I had one other that I was maybe sort of thinking like might kind of work, but the other three were a little tricky to come up with, I thought. So yeah, it is interesting when you start thinking about it. There aren't many that you could really do this with. Not many stories, I don't think. But
I agree. This was tricky, but I think I'm happy with the five that I picked, because I've got five that I'm kind of interested in, and I want to go from there. So I'll start. So I'll let's go 5-1. So my number five, because I did have an honorable mention here, and then I realized, unfortunately, it's a bit of a cheat for a couple reasons. But one thing also is that Bob Hoskins has passed away, so that wouldn't work. But I'm surprised that we have not gotten a Roger Rabbit sequel at all. But
yeah,
it is what it is with that. Uh, I think you, I think if you do something a la like what Chip and Dale did, I think that could be
exactly like
interesting.
that. Yes.
But that's, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of this. So my first one, or so my number five, it's going pretty generic with this because he has been making the rounds lately. He showed up in the movie Ted. It's Flash Gordon. Like the fact that
Hmm.
because Flash Gordon, what they were planning an entire franchise with this, but it didn't make enough money, and now it's a cult hit. And I think Flash Gordon would be ripe for a reboot to have the same guy who played Flash Gordon, because keeps talking about it. have him just be Flash Gordon again and talk about the plights of what it's like to be an aging football player, or like what it's like to have like a post football life. And you could even have Timothy Dalton back as well. So you can't have the guy who plays Ming because he's passed away, but
Right.
also that's just grossly culturally inappropriate. But but I think having the guy who plays Flash Gordon, which his name escapes me, so I'll try to find that in a second. But I they already were planning to have sequels for this anyways, and it didn't make enough money at the box office. Sam Jones is his name. So I think I think that would be my first one.
And bring back that song by Queen.
Exactly.
Listen to that again. I bet people would love that.
Yes. All right. What is your number five?
My number five is the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I think it'd be kind of interesting just to like maybe have Carlton or Ashley or Hillary just have their own kids now, and maybe Will's son has like got into trouble over in Philadelphia and has to come over and live with them. I mean, do maybe like a kind of similar kind of plot just with the characters' kids, and like have Carlton as a father now. I think that'd be kind of interesting actually. Seeing Carlton as a father would be interesting to see like what he's like. James Avery is no longer with us, so no Uncle Phil, unfortunately. And in reality, I'm not sure they could do this now because obviously Will Smith is not like well regarded in Hollywood now or anything.
He is unfortunately a pariah right now.
Yeah.
Plus, also, did you see that YouTube short where they tried to make like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air to be more like gritty and
Oh yeah, I have seen that. Yes.
yeah. So they did the reunion special with
Oh yes,
all the people
I love
from,
that. That was great.
and that was great. And I think that there could have been some potential there for, I think that that would have been a good route to go because if the show's too serious, I think it just kind of takes away a little bit of the charm of what made the Fresh Prince so great in the first place. So yeah, that's a good call out. I think those characters, especially the guy who plays Carlton, he's all over the place now. He's hosting Dancing with the Stars in the
Oh
U.S.
wow.
So he's definitely made a name for himself. So yeah, that's a great pick. My number four, taking another movie from the '80s that I think would be ripe for a legacy sequel, War Games by by
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
yeah, because is it weird that I'm not one of these people who's clamoring for a Ferris Bueller sequel? I'm
I didn't know
not.
that was in the pipeline.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the pipeline, but I
All
think
right.
people are clamoring for it. And I'm not. I'm good. I'm good. I don't what are we gonna do? Like have Ferris's kid go not in Chicago, but somewhere else and get into even more hijinks as before? Like you can't do anything else with it. With war games, computing has vastly improved. So I think I think now is the perfect time to have another war games. And I Cobra Kai did everything really well with, incorporating the old characters, adding new characters. I kind of envision something like this maybe being a little bit more like Blade Runner 2049, though, where it's new character focused, but Matthew Broderick, when he comes in, he's the grizzled like, nah, I gotta help you with this, and then eventually comes back, yeah, I'm gonna help you with this. I think that would be a good route to go because I think the way that who is it? The way that Blade Runner 2049 did it was a great idea, and the way that the new Star Wars trilogy, the way they did it was not. So yeah, I think War Games for my number four would be something that's right for a continuation.
I get the impression Matthew Broderick is desperate for work at the moment, so I think he would welcome something like that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. What is your number four?
This is going to be a weird one, actually. The Dark Knight,
Oh,
just because
okay.
I kind of like to see a live action version of Batman Beyond. I don't know if you're familiar with what that is. That was basically Bruce Wayne, like, was the mentor in that, and the actual Batman character was like a 17-year-old.
Okay.
So you could bring back Christian Bale as like a much older Bruce Wayne, and you could have him training up like a new sort of Batman. Like I don't know if the comics ever do like a Batman Junior sort of character.
Well,
Not
we're not going to do. Michael Keaton for this. Like they're, Michael Keaton is
Oh, true.
someone.
Back Michael Keaton as well. Yeah.
Michael Keaton is just making the rounds of all of his like legacy characters that.
Yeah, yeah. You could have Keaton in there as well. You obviously could not have Heath Ledger come back as the Joker, but yeah, bring back Christopher Nolan as well to direct it as well. Just have it like the Christopher Nolan style. I think that'd be cool. Joseph Gordon-Levitt could actually be Robin in this. I think that maybe he's a bit old. I'm not
Maybe.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. I think that'd be cool. Like a sort of live action version of Batman Beyond was basically the sort of main vision I had with that.
Good call out with that. And also at this point, James Gunn is just loading up all of these different things and not having as much continuity with DC as Marvel does. So I'm good with that. Just yeah, let's keep doing that. My number three. Okay, hear me out on this. Hear me out. My number three is the Truman Show. And here's why. Because I want to know what happens to Truman after the fact. And also, I want to know what Truman thinks of this new world where everybody wants to be a reality star now. And I would also like to see what all these other what happened to all these other characters who are like, my life was ruined because Truman decided to leave. And you could have something where maybe is Truman a little paranoid now that he's constantly being followed, and it's more of a thriller movie where he thinks that he's being followed, and doing some like heavy commentary on the current state of social media where everybody's looking to be a reality or a social media star. My own 7-year-old, when she was asked recently what she wants to be when she grows up, she said a YouTube star. It's like, I have failed you. I have failed you as a parent. If you don't say a veterinarian or an astronaut, every other answer is wrong. So yeah, that's a little frustrating, but hey, it is what it is. So Truman Show, you could bring Jim Carrey back.
He
I
doesn't
think.
really do sequels, but
Oh, right, right.
yeah.
Sonic, Sonic 2 and
Oh, yeah,
3.
he has started. Yeah, and he did Dumb and Dumber too. Actually, now I think about it. So
So, but I think, look, he got to do the Sonic movies where he gets to go all out on them.
yeah,
Me personally, I want to see Jim Carrey back in a more serious role. And then he can go back to painting or whatever the hell he's doing now. I want one last role from Jim Carrey where he's actually serious and he's actually acting, not, you know, not the shtick that we get in Sonic. And you could bring back all the other characters as well. So
yeah, I can definitely get behind that. I remember when I first finished watching the Truman Show, like where it ended, thinking to myself, "Well, hold on, he's never known the real world. Like,
yeah.
what is that going to be like for him?" So yeah, I could definitely get behind that.
It's
Yeah,
either that or Truman, all these years later, Truman is being asked to go on like Dancing with the Stars or like a version of or something like that. And he's just like, oh, this is what it's like when you know you're being filmed. That's
yeah,
that's fun. Thanks for that.
yeah.
All right. What's your number three?
Number three is Malcolm in the Middle.
Mm.
Again, similar to Fresh Prince, just have the kids from the original series like as the parents this time, and obviously be the same actors, and you could just like see how they're dealing with like social media and like modern technology and that kind of thing. Because I thought Malcolm in the Middle ended at just the wrong time, just as like smartphones and like big YouTube stars and social media was really starting to take over like the lives of the kids that were that kind of age. So I think it would have been really interesting if Malcolm Middle had kept going for a few more years and that kind of got involved. So I think like a new generation sort of series be
Yeah.
cool to see. Bring back Bryan Cranston, who's now like the big Breaking Bad star. That'd be cool to see. I think
Mhm.
see him play Hal again. I think that'd be really kind of cool.
Yeah,
And I also sort of envision maybe they could have some Breaking Bad references in the series when Hal is on there.
for
You know, like
sure.
his wife could call him Scarface or something like that. I don't know. Maybe Aaron Paul could have a cameo at some point.
Oh,
And he
that
could
would
be like,
be that'd be
who are you? Have we met?
that would be fantastic. Yeah, that's a good one. I'd be looking forward to something like that because I loved Malcolm in the Middle growing up, and I I think a lot of the people from Malcolm in the Middle, with the exception of Bryan Cranston, didn't blow up the way that I think any of them thought that they were going to. So I think this would be a good opportunity for all of them. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm amazed that the kid that played Reese, I thought he was so good, and I've
Mhm.
not seen him in anything since.
Yeah. All right. My number two. My number two is Freaks and Geeks. And Freaks and Geeks, look, I think you're gonna have a lot of trouble getting the main cast on board because a lot of the main cast is now very famous. Uh, so for example, you've got James Franco, who's kind of similar to what
Similar
you're
kind of
talking,
to Will Smith.
yeah, pariah right now, for very different reasons, but still nonetheless. Seth Rogen, who James Franco and Seth Rogen, they're now estranged. They're,
Right.
that sucks. Jason Segel, who has blown up a lot. But then you have even the geeks. They're all super or not super famous, but they're all doing stuff now. So I think they would be interesting to get them back together, particularly for a high school reunion or something along those lines, because that show famously ended unceremoniously, and it sucks that it only got one season. But yeah, I think that show would be a natural, organic way to have them all come back for a high school reunion. I'm one of those people who thinks that American Reunion was actually not that bad of a movie. I actually didn't mind it for the American Pie.
American Pie reunion.
Yeah.
It was
So
okay.
it was fine. It was fine. Yeah, I didn't mind it as much. I liked that one better than American Wedding. I'll admit that.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, definitely much better.
so yeah, that's I think Freaks and Geeks would be a good one to just get the old band back together and just to have hijinks and shenanigans with all of them as adults.
Yeah. Okay, so number two.
Yep, you're number two.
Number two, Stranger Things.
You're
I realize this is
rebooting
kind of weird.
Stranger Things already, or
Yeah,
is
I know
Legacy?
it's finished, and I think maybe this would have to be like about a decade in the future. I think they would have to do something like this when the actors are like old enough to have kids that are 16 or 17.
John, what are you talking about? They're all old enough to have kids already. You could
Yeah,
do a Stranger Things sequel next year if you wanted, and all of them would be old enough to have kids. So,
yeah, possibly they are old enough. The other thing I was sort of thinking about was maybe setting it in the 90s, but I guess time has moved on a bit too far for them to be able to do that. It would have to be like the 2000s, I suppose, for the timelines to make sense. But I just think people are always going to be nostalgic for a time period about 30 years in the past. So you've always got like that sort of Stranger Things appeal, whatever time period you set it in, as long as, there are people that are nostalgic for that time period. Outside of that, I didn't really have any kind of idea of what you could do with like as a story or anything. I just think, new generation of people, new people to be nostalgic for whatever time period you set it in. It would be cool to see.
well, I think there's so much of the upside down that is yet to be explored, so you
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
easily do that. Or is it time to find another dimension somehow? So, or do we lean into all these other characters, kind of like 11, where they're all telepaths? Look, I get it. The episode where 11 finds all the other character or all the other kids that have telepathic powers is not well received. I don't mind that episode, which is sad, but
I'm trying to remember it now. I don't remember. I don't remember it being bad, but
I don't remember it being
I don't
bad
really
either.
remember it either.
I think I think people were just upset because it just felt so out of place that 11 would go to like
Yeah,
Chicago
it is
and
a bit of a black sheep episode, certainly.
yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that that would be interesting. Plus, I don't know, Netflix. I'm wondering if Netflix has the bandwidth or has the capacity to continue to do more shows like Stranger Things, and they're going to need something to fill the void. And I'm not sure Netflix has it in them to find another Stranger Things right now. So we'll have to wait and see
Yeah.
with that. So I guess that means it's my number one now, because my number one, I thought about this for a while, trying to think, is there any show out there or any movie out there that I think could have something interesting to say that could be a good TV show, and you bring back all like the existing characters that are either alive and kind of see what else that we could do with it. And the one the one movie that I keep coming back to that I think needs to have a sequel, that deserves to have a sequel, I keep coming back to Inception. I want more from this world in Inception. And I think all the characters would come back. And I think this is where you could bring in more individuals who could be like a rival team, or Cobb needs to train a whole new group of people, make the dreams more complicated, make it different types of minds. I still think Inception would make a fantastic, or needs, there's more story to tell there. So
I don't think you even need to bring back any of the characters from the original film. You could just have like a new team that's been put together doing the same thing.
well, John, that would violate the terms of
Yeah,
this
yeah,
list.
true.
So
Yeah, true.
so
That goes against the criteria, I suppose.
yeah, so that's my number one. What's your number one?
So this is something that I feel like lines up with the Cobra Kai idea like perfectly, and it would basically be a Harry Potter sequel series, but it would be called Slytherin,
Oh,
and it would be about Malfoy's son going to Hogwarts.
Mhm.
And I think it'd be actually kind of an interesting idea to have either Harry or Ron and Hermione's son or daughter also be sorted into Slytherin, and they could become friends at Hogwarts. And it would be just about, maybe Slytherin isn't that bad, perhaps. Sort of like, what is it like to be like a Slytherin student and be aware of the reputation that they all have? Like maybe turn the idea of like Harry when he hears about Slytherin's reputation and he's just like adamant to the sorting out. No, not Slytherin. I'm not going in Slytherin. Maybe have a character that hears about Slytherin's reputation, but they're like, okay, so Slytherin aren't a great house, but I'm my own person. I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm in Slytherin. Fine, doesn't define me. I can just do what I want to do. I can be a good person. I can be a bad person. Doesn't define me being in Slytherin. So yeah, obviously bring back Tom Felton to play Malfoy, older now. Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and all that to play them older now. Actually, they could probably do the actual 19 years later scene without any kind of effects now.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, because they did not look older when they did that originally.
No, they looked like they're cosplaying as older Harry Potter and all of those kids.
Yeah, you've already got canon versions of their kids. But you don't even have to write in like actual kids for them to have. Neville apparently is I don't know if this is mentioned in the film, but it is in the book. Neville is a professor at Hogwarts by the time that those kids are going to school.
Herbology, right? Herbology professor.
Herbology professor, that's it. So he could come back and be the professor. I think that'd be really interesting to see. Like, what is it actually like to be a Slytherin student, to be told that you're no good and you're terrible, you're going to be a dark wizard or witch later in life because you're in Slytherin?
Put it this way, I would rather watch that than are we retreading everything with the Harry Potter books with this new series? We'll see. No, that's a good call with that, and it kind of fits perfectly in line with what Cobra Kai is as well. So that's a good call out. Did you have any honorable mentions or anything else that you consider?
With just these five actually, so I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that would also work, I don't think.
So there was only three others that I remotely considered. So I think anything Guy Ritchie related, maybe with the exception of Aladdin, all the Guy Ritchie movies like the Lock, Stock, the Rock and Roll, the Snatch, all of those are ripe for legacy sequels where you just continue to expand the London underworld. I realize that some of those people have passed away. I realize some of those people have blown up in a way that they don't want to come back to that. So I get that, but I think having something where you go back to that world, you see the new crop of people trying to break into the London underground, and I think if you have all of those movies kind of combined into like one universe, I think that would be interesting. I still think that Kill Bill at some point should get a volume 3, and I think a TV show could be an interesting route to go with that. I don't think Uma Thurman would ever come back to that because her and Quentin Tarantino's relationship is not good right now. So, but I think that one would be interesting. And then my final one, this one was a little bit more of a stretch because I think this movie is perfect the way that it is. But I think it would be a little interesting to see if Cole Sears in The Sixth Sense passes on his sixth sense to his children. I think that could be interesting. And let's face it, Haley Joel Osment is not doing anything right now. So
He did nothing after child acting.
No, he did not. And he now just shows up in random things. He showed up on an episode of What We Do in the Shadows, which
Oh,
I
really?
found hilarious that he was there. But yeah, I think that could be interesting because a lot of my other ideas have already been done as well. When I first thought of this, I was like, oh, something that I think would be pretty perfect for that would be the Mighty Ducks. Like, nope, they already did that. Disney Plus has already mined a lot of these legacy sequels, and they've done them all pretty poorly.
Oh,
So
not aware they done Mighty Ducks. Jeez.
yeah, it's not great.
Okay,
Um,
I will not bother with it then.
Yeah. So, well, John, thank you very much for coming on and wrapping up Cobra Kai and also doing this fun list. If any of these networks listen to this and they want to give us a call and talk about our ideas, we'd be happy to pitch our ideas. So, John, do you have anything you want to plug, and where can the people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram. That's John Tillyard 86, digits 86 at the end. I'm also on Threads with the same username, and I am on Blue Sky. I think that's the same username. Double check 1 second.
Pretty sure it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, John Tillyard, and then the number's 86 on Blue Sky as well. I also write for Sif Pop. My most recent review is the final season of Cobra Kai. Yeah, I had a lot to say about that, and I also reviewed the season before last a while back as well. And my next review is going to be King of Kings, which is an animated story of Jesus. And then after that, I think it's Until Dawn. It's an adaptation of the video game.
Nice. All right. So check out John's stuff. Looking forward to having him on. So him and I have been cooking up some ideas of other shows that we could talk about. So you'll be seeing John in the coming months because there's a lot of good stuff coming out. So, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you more about all of those coming up soon.
Yep, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode of SPDM TV. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew, wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and Blue Skies, or Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, and Blue Sky at SPDM Crew. Check out our website at spdmcrew.com. Shout out to iFlyer Creative Studios for making our awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. And if you have any marketing, brand standards, or logo needs, contact them at highflyercreative.com. Check out our other shows on the network. We've got lots of other content available. We've got shows about movies, TV shows. We've got a couple music ones. We've just launched one that is about the readings of J.R.R. Tolkien. And then just check out our other shows. There's a lot of great stuff on here, and we've got more coming up. If you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. Until next time, happy watching, friends.